Hello, everybody. Today I'll talk about dopamine. Is it our best friend or worst enemy? So, motivation molecule, pleasure hormone, the hormone of happiness, all those are names of dopamine, which is responsible of the reward center of our brain and pleasure with other chemicals such as serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins. In addition to our mood, dopamine also affects movement and memory and focus. Not all, but also it is responsible about happiness and pleasure. It could cause depression and addiction. When the brain has a healthy level of dopamine, feel good, our motivation increase, we are productive, we plan well, we learn quickly, we are driven and excited about life, more focused, more attentive. On the other hand, low levels of dopamine make us feel depressed, anxious, and unmotivated, fatigued, disconcerting, and having difficulties to complete tasks instead of being full of life. However, our brain is always looking to release dopamine by motivating us to do things to help control our behavior. It encourages us to move and get important resources. For example, when we are hungry, it encourages us to get food. So dopamine is a survival chemical. Nevertheless, there's only two ways to get dopamine. The first is getting dopamine by consumption. So activities like eating junk food, using social media, taking drugs release a huge amount of dopamine, which is we call them instant gratification. That's why we do feel less motivated after eating McDonald's or being on social media all day. So our brain associates the release of dopamine with pleasure and creates reward system. For example, when we are eating junk food, your brain releases dopamine, which makes you feel good. Therefore, your brain assumes this is a reward and encourages us to repeat this behavior again, even though the junk food might not be the healthiest choice for your body. So, over getting dopamine from consumption, it calls addiction. Fortunately, we can replace those bad habits by nature sources of dopamine that can boost our mood as well, such as exercising, speaking with people we love, sleeping well, taking cold shower, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. The second way to get dopamine is creation. What does mean? When we realize that completing a certain task give us a reward and that makes us feel good, then we are more motivated to focus and complete the task. Writing, drawing, working out, completing our to-do list, and cooking, all those are sources to get dopamine by creation. That's why artists spending hours, days, or maybe weeks to draw a painting, and athletes training hard for a long time for a match, only to reward their brain by dopamine at the end of the text. So so over getting dopamine from creation, it calls passion. So how we can be more productive? The equation is simple. Less consumption equals more creation. When we stop getting dopamine or reduce our consumption to get dopamine, our body will force us to seek out for dopamine by doing productive things or by trying new things to be passionate by it. So, to reduce our consumption, we should know about instant gratification, which is the desire to experience pleasure and fulfillment right away. Instead of doing things that it's necessary to obtain your long-term goals. just like our desire to check our phones while we should be studying. Instant gratification in short term it is pleasurable, but in long term it can be painful. So to overcome instant gratification, here are some ideas. There are ideas. First, consider long-term consequences of your actions. Practice developing your self-control on small things. Be prepared for short-term pain. Remember your goals and priorities. So, to sum, I would say that dopamine is a double edged sword. It can be your motivation to achieve your goals, or it can be the reason of your depression. However, we can't blame dopamine for our behavior because it's us who take actions and we are not controlled by chemicals in our brain. That's all. Thank you.